Hello everybody, welcome back to another video for the day. Now we're going right back into r/talesofneckbeard because you know everybody likes the little cringy story time. But beforehand, be sure to like the video, comment down below during the video what you like about the video, and afterwards consider subscribing. Alrighty, let's go. A little disclaimer beforehand, some of these stories do come from r/neckbeard instead of r/talesofneckbeard, but they pretty much do fall under the same story. It's a lengthy story about a neckbeard. Our first story comes to us from username PizzaGanger46, The Den of the Neckbeard. Hi, I am new to Reddit and I gotten into it by listening to neckbeard stories. I wanted to share a story about one of my experiences of the creature we all hate but regretfully love talking about, that is the neckbeard, or at least visiting one of their known habitats. This took place in high school, which was 6 years ago, and I still dread thinking about that memory, but anyway, I will get right to it. So my brother, my best friend, and me just got into D&D and we just finished one of our first adventures. I was a ranger but decided to be a human cleric. My brother was a half-elf rogue and my friend was a dwarf paladin. This was 4th edition D&D, but since that edition sucks anyway, we used 3rd edition rules. Anyway, we wanted to get modules, and the only place that was nearby was a local game store. For namesake, my brother will be Zap, and my best friend is V-Man. So V-Man, Zap, and me all decided to get a module for our next adventure, and that the only place that was cheap was that store. So we took V-Man's car and drove to the game store, not knowing the danger we would be in for. We were talking about our adventures as we were heading into the store and just being kids until we got to that freaking store. We parked and walked to it, eager to get our loot, and got near the door. That was when we opened Pandora's box. Hot, smelly air blasts us. Tears were pouring down my face, and I desperately covered my mouth with my shirt, which did nothing to protect my nose from the smell. It felt like a World War I soldier without a gas mask in a battlefield that had shelled and weaponized body odor. It was that bad. Zap was only 9, and he was crying from the stench. He never talks about it. V-Man was cursing and covering his mouth and nose to try to ward off the stench. The neckbeards were looking at us strange, but not to come over to try to ask why we were covering our mouths. They seemed immune to their own body odor, which was strange for me at the time. I could tell none of them have cleaned themselves since most of them were obese men that were probably in their 30s to 40s. We decided to just get our module and get the heck out of the store. In fact, we made it our mission to get it. I am not sure what possessed us to do the deed, but like I said, we were stupid kids. But as I ventured deeper into the ogre's den, the smell got worse and tears were pouring down my eyes. We finally made it to the D&D section and just grabbed a random module. We never played it, sadly. We paid the cashier and ran out into cool, fresh, and clean air. I'm not sure if my clothes still smell like BO, but I hope I don't remember. I never felt so relieved to be breathing fresh air in my life. We ran back to V-Man's car and drove off back to my place. V-Man and I were joking about how we could throw tied up axe cans into the store and teach them neckbeards a lesson about personal hygiene. In the end, V-Man and I decided to prank call the store, but that is a story for another day. Dude, don't do that to the people working there. For those who are new and do not know what modules are, these are pre-written campaigns. You know what? A lot of this I could honestly see was a little bit exaggerated, because yes, I have been to sneak peeks for Yu-Gi-Oh! Before, and it is much like the situation you've gone through today, except never in my life have I had any experience where any neckbeard has smelled so bad that it makes my eyes tear up and water. No, I've had people who decide to apparently use a deodorant instead of a shower before showing up to an event, but never once have I seen anybody who has gone so long without showering that they make our eyes water. Plus, seriously, prank calling the store? Seriously, the people that working there didn't have anything to do with your situation. I don't think I'm going to feature any more of your stories on my channel. Our next story comes to us from username High School Neckbeard is a nightmare and is still trying today, 6 to 7 years later. Long post. I'm a bit nervous to post this, but it's been bothering me for a while now. I didn't say anything earlier as I thought it was my fault and I didn't know what a neckbeard was until literally late last year when I started watching r/Tales of Neckbeard videos, so welcome to one of them. I only decided now to post it as a neckbeard recently messaged me when I posted a really cute selfie on my Instagram story. Okay, I just want to hug up and say one thing myself. Whenever I see these type of things where people mention my channel's name is why they posted the story, it honestly is a huge motivation for me to do more and more of these videos. And honestly, for everybody who's watching, if you do have your own situation, post about it online, even if it's just to get that feeling off of your chest. telling somebody about it, especially if it's something you know or somebody you know and they can help you deal with the situation, that is only going to be beneficial, and it's never your fault if a neckbeard gets mad at you or anybody gets mad at you just because they don't like your choices to how it affects them. So what if they get mad that you don't want to date them? That's their own fault. You have your own choice and you can choose whoever you want to date. But let's get back to the story. Also, the story is kind of long, sorry about that. Warning, as there's mention of assault near the end. TLDR, despite the warnings, I made friends with a neckbeard who eventually assaults me and thinks we hooked up, gets jealous when I started dating a girl, and tries to explain to me how thespians fun time works. And look, I would like to say the word, but demonetization things. Story. Disclaimer, my memory is hazy, so sorry if this seems a bit jumpy. This all happened about 6 to 7 years ago, and I'm editing bits here and there. I come from a little town with around 1,000 people. My school was a preschool to year 12 state school with about 300 students throughout all 13 grades. My class had about a max of 20 students, and it was tiny. Because of this, everyone knew each other, and everyone was kind of friends with each other, so inevitably I was friends with the neckbeard known as E. E was a few years older than me. He was 17, and I was 14. He was about 5'10"-ish, super pale, kind of chubby, extremely into anime/gaming, and didn't know how to be gentle with girls. He'd always roughhouse with me and hurt me, and shockingly, girls his age and grade found him creepy. I've also seen him with a fedora, use the phrases "milady," or try acting like Sebastian from Black Butler. He was a butler, you get me. Seriously, if you were in high school and liked anime, odds are you probably knew about something called Black Butler. Have black fingerless cotton gloves and pose like a samurai with fake swords. It was cringe. I, on the other hand, was 14, relatively pretty, 5'8", thin, long brown hair, clean skin, etc. into anime/gaming as well, and it was too freaking nice. Anyway, E was friends with my older brother, as, like I said previously, everyone was friends with each other. Friday night youth groups, Wednesday night hangouts at a friend's, Tuesday, Thursday nights of touch football. I couldn't just avoid him, but at the same time, I didn't feel the need to avoid him. That changed eventually. During the time of our hangouts, E and I got to know each other better. We were both super into anime, video games, and just nerdy stuff in general. I even went as far as to add him on Xbox, where we play games like Halo Reach, Black Ops 2, Minecraft, etc. together. But E was always super rough with me and inappropriate as all heck. He'd constantly make comments, talk about how hot anime girls were always asking me who I'd frick between an anime dude A and anime dude B. He'd also sit way too close, grab me too hard when I was play fighting with my friends, and make lewd comments on my growing teenage body. I tried so hard to be his friend. I felt tired and honestly embarrassed to be around him, but I was too polite and didn't want to tell him to leave me alone, even when my older brother noticed I was hanging out with him so much. My brother expressed dislike to that and told me not to hang out with E because he's weird, but even if I tried to avoid E, it's not like I could when there's only about 100 high school students at my school and he went to all the after-school activities I did. After my brother's warning, I got another. One afternoon after school, I was with my best friend, we'll call her Jay. I used to always wait with her at the bus stop, and E took the same bus as her. I was talking with Jay when E came over to chat. That's when Jay's older sister, she was in the same grade as E, came over and shooed him away. She ended up pulling me off to the side and told me to stop hanging out with him. I was 14, I was naive, I was nervous, but also I low-key didn't want to tell E to leave me alone. In my tiny social circle, I had one friend who liked anime and video games as much as me. I wasn't about to let that up, even if it was tiring. I was going to make this friendship work, so stupidly, I ignored her warning. I wish I didn't. One time, E and I were going to go to the city to meet up with some friends we met at a cosplay event to watch a movie, and since E and I were from this small town, we drive about 45 minutes to 1 hour away, we decided to carpool together. So I went to his house and we were planning to hang out for a bit, play video games, etc. before his mom would drop us off and she'd finish running some errands. His mom was honestly such a lovely woman. Their house was so nice and clean, and they had the cutest dog ever. E's room was also really nice and clean. It smelled nice, not unlike all these typical neckbeard rooms I've read of. In his room, I don't really remember what happened. E and I went to his room to play games or to watch some anime or something, I don't know, but he closed the door. I didn't think much of it at first, but I felt a bit uneasy. I blacked this memory out, and typing this is making me panic a bit, but I'm trying to remember as best I can. Somehow, I ended up on E's bed. I remember him pinning me down, telling me it's okay, making light of the situation. I was so nervous and I wasn't feeling good. I didn't want this to happen. I'd try to up and leave and he wouldn't let me, but with such a polite girl, I didn't want to make a ruckus for anything. So I remember lying on my back on E's bed, and he pulled my pants underwear down, and, well, yeah, no, he didn't go all the way. He just used sand. I remember his covering my face with a pillow and wanting this to be over. I felt gross. I don't know how we got out of this situation. I think his mom may have knocked on the door to let us know she was ready to go or something, and so he let me go and pretended like he didn't just abuse me. I remember clothing myself, and I just didn't say anything. We still went to the city to watch that movie with our friends. He still sat next to me in the theaters, and his mom still dropped me home. We still remained friends. For the longest time, I knew what happened was wrong. I wanted to ditch him, to stop being his friend, but he was everywhere in my life. Plus, I went to his home, to his room. I let him do that to me, so it was my fault, right? 14-year-old me thought so. So even though this neckbeard assaulted me, I convinced myself it wasn't assault at all. I went on with my life. We all did. Annoyingly, he treated this little rendezvous of ours like we hooked up. Thank God he didn't tell anyone. I guess he knew my brother would kill him if we found out. But he was so much more smug with me. Same lewd comments, but worse at the same time. Ugh. Anyway, I eventually met Elle. She was this really beautiful emo girl who was a new student at school, and she just seemed so cool. I wanted to be her friend, and eventually I was. She was also into anime, and she'd always come over to my house to play video games, or we'd watch Lord of the Rings movies and such. As I was really bi-curious at the time, I started to have the biggest crush on her. I confessed eventually, and she felt the same, and we started going out. He did not like this. He got really jealous and clingy, and kept on acting so weird around myself and Elle. He'd always get too close, touch us inappropriately in a quote-unquote friendly way, and would just say unnecessary stuff, surprise, surprise. He was 17 and wouldn't leave two 14-year-old girlfriends alone. It was also awkward and creepy. No joke, my girlfriend and I had these cute nicknames from an anime that we'd call each other, and he seriously forced himself into our bandwagon and would refer to himself as Baka, Japanese for idiot, and get us to call him that. I'm not even kidding. Facebook Memories is doing me dirty by reminding me of that dark time in my life, and I die on the inside each year. He was shocking. I also remember a time he once tried to tell me that thespians aren't a real thing, and he explained to me that thespians aren't solely attracted to women because they like the sensation in their privates, which is recreating the sensation of the glorious man schlong. So, in reality, thespians love the Really? You worded like that. Okay. With what the frick? I just gave him a blank look and walked away. Eventually, E graduated and myself and Elle broke up. I had to deal with E every now and then, but I kept my distance as best I could. Eventually, I went overseas for a year-long student exchange program. I dropped all contact with him, and when I came back, I almost immediately moved away into a different city. The year I came back, though, my brother and I took my mom out for Mother's Day / her birthday, and I saw him working. His face literally lit up, but I just stayed polite and didn't try to engage in conversation. Luckily, he was working and couldn't bother me. 2 years later after that, like I mentioned earlier, I posted a selfie on my Instagram story about a week ago now, and he started chatting with me again. Let me tell you now, he flirted with me on 3 different occasions, and I've ignored him all times, and he's still trying. He also won't stray from the topic of anime when I told him a few times I no longer watch it, even going as far as to ask me who I'd frick, marry, or off out of some Haikyuu characters. Thank goodness I live in a different city, but God. Also, I'm really sorry if this story doesn't belong in this sub. Please let me know if it is too inappropriate / not neckbeard enough, and I'll remove it. Also, X2, I know it was my fault I stuck with E when I was warned on more than one occasion, so please refrain from telling me that. Trust me, I know. Edit, grammar, spelling, mistakes, etc. Okay, heads up, if you go to this actual story and you comment that whole thing saying it's her fault and I know who you are on my sub channel, I'm banning you. This is definitely a lot to take in, and I'm honestly glad that you were able to come out and tell this story, and in the event that he is still trying to talk to you, show him this video and even go to the timestamp where the story starts. Have him read the whole thing, and he'll know it is exactly him, and he might honestly change his mind. Hopefully. I don't know, maybe 13,000 people watching might change his mind. I don't know if it's a guarantee thing, but it's worth a shot. Only send him that if he's still persistent and he hasn't given up yet, which is very likely knowing how persistent your average neckbeard can be. And if he does like to comment, he will effectively out himself to the whole mass and everybody can start ganging up on him. Yay! Basically, if you have something similar with one of these situations, tell somebody, even if you know that you've messed up in the past, that sometimes you might think it's your fault. It isn't. Look, people aren't naive when they're younger. When you grow up, you realize, yeah, I messed up, but doing something different is what counts. Coming forward with that information is going to help you so much. It is a million times better than just keeping that bottled up. Because, look, your town might be small, but you have friends all around you who would like to listen and support you. And if they're true friends, they will still support you, because no one deserves to be stuck with a neckbeard. With that, that is going to have to be it for the video. If you would like what you had seen, be sure to like the video, comment down below what you liked about the video, and consider subscribing to the channel and turning on the notifications. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.